Usually when I go out with people, we get stoned.
The world. What's happening in it? Today is December 20th. My name is Reagan, and here are your past week's headlines. We began the week with a winter storm hitting the West Coast, and European officials are real freaked out about the military buildup from Russia, saying the risk of all-out war is real. Of course, we couldn't mention this week without naming the person of the year, which, yes, you guessed it, is Elon Musk. Are you kidding me? Naming the richest person on the planet as the person of the year. Stop. Just stop. There's now a vaccine pass required in Philadelphia to enter bars and other establishments, and the Thwaites Glacier is rapidly destabilizing in Antarctica. They expect it to collapse within the next 3 to 5 years, which would raise sea levels by 2 feet. That's not even to mention Pine Glacier Island next to it, which would also raise sea levels by several feet, and no, there is no hope. It would be like a nuke being set off on every coast, displacing billions of people by the end of this decade. Anyways, Pfizer has a pill you could take over 5 days of initial infection that fights all current variants of COVID-19, and Biden went to Kentucky to assess the damage from them wicked storms.
I'm worried about families and elderly grandparents and what their lives are at stake. Everyone is a little harder. So, grandmom can walk out without having, out of her porch without worrying about falling, can take care of herself, can be left alone. They're going to keep working to pay the bills.
I don't understand the words you just said.
Look, my plan is simple. We're going to make sure we take care of mom. We're going to take care of the child. We're going to take care of the child.
Wholesale prices jumped 9.6% in the past 12 months, and the National Film Registry added Star Wars and Pink Flamingos among some other random films and documentaries, preserving film. Nothing is preserved where we're headed, but nice human behavior to cherish the legacy of their creative endeavors. NASA scientist says the Gemini asteroid shower went on till Friday, and the WMO UN agency confirms that the 2020 Arctic heat record during the oppressive Siberian heat wave, which hit 38 degrees Celsius or 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit in Bikoyansk, somewhere in Russia. Over 50 people died from a Haitian truck explosion. I believe it was carrying gasoline, maybe not. And Apple iOS 15.2 can detect nude images now. Damn. Doesn't matter. Send them anyways. There's a Dropbox link somewhere I'll post. Just send them on over. Russia defends the veto of the UN climate change resolution, saying, you know what, we'll just keep drilling and floating through the Arctic, getting as much oil as we can, because we're addicted like everybody else. 800,000 wiped out in the U.S. from COVID, but only 61% of us are fully vaccinated. The Treasury Department decides to send $8 billion to small communities who need money loans, so they'll jack up the interest rates and make even more money off of them. Kronos, some payroll company, was ransomware hacked, a Log4j vulnerability. We hear about this pretty often. Biden officials warn that a COVID explosion is imminent. Again, the Omicron is about to ravage our lands in the next month or two.
Omicron.
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 In fact, the CDC from New York and New Jersey are detecting Omicron at 4 times the U.S. rate. New York had a record second day in a row of coronavirus infections on Saturday. There was a fire that trapped more than 100 people on a roof in Hong Kong's World Trade Center, and record snowfalls in Austria and Germany. China's Xi says artists and writers and such should only support its communist leadership to have a strong culture. The Fed is easing a bond buying program, and Putin and Xi had a Skype call. They're colluding.
Today, Vladimir Putin held a virtual summit with Xi Jinping. It comes as Russia masses troops along the border with Ukraine, raising fears of a possible invasion. The Kremlin says it now has the support of China. It's demanding guarantees from the U.S. and NATO.
They actually announced it as a breakthrough. So now the cards are all set. It's East versus West while climate change destroys us all. Good times ahead. Malta legalizes recreational cannabis. Now you can carry 7 grams or get fined $600 if you smoke it in public or in front of kids. Britain is getting slammed by a twin pandemic of Delta and Omicron, and there's been an unprecedented rise in road deaths this year, an 18% rise in the first half of 2021. And climate change is fueling violent conflict in northern Cameroon, Africa, over increasingly scarce water. Google still ran ads on climate denial despite promising to stop, a new report finds. The White House wants to get rid of lead pipes and paint, and it's almost 2022. Hurricane gusts across North America, totally normal to have 130 mile per hour winds in South Dakota. More rhinos are killed by poachers last December for their horns because of decline in tourism, so they can't hire people to keep watch. This fella got the Medal of Honor, the first time since the Vietnam War, and actually the 7th person to get it. And there was another round of tornadoes that swept through the Great Plains in Minnesota. They got their first one in December. A strong wind lifts a bouncy house in Australia and kills 4 to 5 children. Different reports.
It's the video startling the nation. A bounce house right on Fort Lauderdale Beach with 3 children inside taken up into the air by a water spout 30 feet wide.
Orange juice is free, and threats against schools on TikTok nationwide because they want the day off from school. At least 27 feared dead after a fire in Japan, a 4th floor of an office building. Most likely an elderly man lit it on fire who was a patient, probably fed up. Russia provided a list of demands to the West in regards to stopping military buildup, but they are quite stringent. The CDC says Omicron is doubling every 2 to 3 days in the US, and the world set a record for coal use in 2021, said the International Energy Agency. Thailand got smashed by a typhoon, then the Philippines, where 300,000 people were evacuated. At least 30 died, and whole towns were leveled. A financial agency warned that climate change, the growth of stable coins in form of Bitcoin and so on, and financial innovations that led to the frenzied trading of GameStop shares in the early year are threats to the U.S. financial system. Many think the dollar will collapse. Early retirement, whether forced by the pandemic or made possible otherwise, had a major impact on the labor market, and the data shows that it was retiring boomers, far more than lazy millennials, are the biggest force behind the labor shortage this past year. Yeah, we literally need to work to eat. I can't have a roof over my head unless I work. The Dutch went into lockdown again. You can only have 2 guests now for dinner and 4 on Christmas Eve. And Greg Abbott, the psychopath, unveiled The Wall, paid for by tax dollars, $2 billion of which, so glad I left Texas. There's no way I would fund or pay for that. And heavy hitting donators. Do you still have Doomer family? You have it right here. Okay, you have it right here. Thanks for watching, guys. What's happening in the world? My name is Reagan. Hit subscribe, the like, consider donating. Every bit helps. Independent public journalism, all summed together in 10 minutes or so, is exactly what you need each week to put in your coffee. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Peace.